Here we have Melodeon Hints and Tips. I think it's number 3. This time we're going to look at crossing the rows. Now, I started on a one-row instrument, so there was no option but to play it up and down the row. There weren't any other rows to go to. And when you play an instrument like that, you find that when you play the scale down, below the G, octave lower G, there's a note missing, which is quite tricky. Now, all one-row instrument players do is they simply swap octaves. And when you do it that way, you find you've got the run down there, and it is F sharp E D. Okay, so putting your hand back into first position again and playing the scale, when you get down to the bottom end, what you have to do is what I call a slide movement. And now I slide using the first finger. And that leaves you in a good position to carry on. Now going up though, I start with my second finger there, because that leaves the first finger, and then your second finger drops onto the G there. So doing that again, you've got your second finger there, first finger comes in, now pulling, second finger comes across. So there are two movements I use there. The first finger slide on the way down, and on the way up, second finger. Okay, so that's just a little trick at the bottom end. But the tune I was specifically asked about was Margaret's Morris. So Margaret's Morris was written to use both up and down the rows and crossing the rows. So it goes like this. That was all up and down the rows. And then it goes to there. And then that phrase is across the rows. So you're starting. Doing that again. Starting on the third button there on the pull, reaching across, moving up a button, still pulling, reach across, come back, and now we're staying on the D rail, still pulling, final squeeze. So it goes. And I really must stop looking at the keyboard because I'm looking at it back to front and upside down. It makes my mind go mad. Okay, so the two bits together, you've got the straight up and down the rows bit. Now we're on the crossroads bit. Okay. And again. So putting the two bits together of the A music. So that was written very deliberately to force me playing across the rows. It was soon after I bought a two-row instrument I realised I was playing everything up and down the rows. So I wrote the tune to force me not to. And you'll notice quite often I use a passing note that people miss. Onto the B music. Listen for the passing note. Anyway, I can't describe which one it is. Let's play it again. Here we go. And. That's the passing note there. It's just a lead-in note to the next bit. And I use it again when going into the B music. The B music follows the same pattern. Straight up and down the rows. So I'm playing, then reaching across. Change rows. Change rows. On that note there isn't on the D row, that's why we're going for it. It's what's it natural. So let's try the B music again and change rows. Let's try putting the two bits together then. So there we have the melody end, and on the bass end you're using G, D, C and E minor. You're also going to the D chord, so using all of those 8 buttons that you've got on your bass end. So this time if you look at the bass end while I'm playing, the same trouble with the bass end. I'm looking at it upside down. Mustn't watch. Back the bass end again. Can't believe how difficult that is, playing and looking at the screen at the same time. It's like looking in a mirror and playing. It's back to front. So the chord goes E minor, A, D. Oh, I've got lost again. Yes, it's just the D, E, so starting G. D, E minor, D, E minor, D minor. So I made a bit of a mess of that. I say if I look at the screen while I'm playing, it completely throws me because it is just it's weird. It really is. An example of how you might use crossing the rows because it smooths the tune out would be it's a lovely Welsh tune. You couldn't do this on a 2-row. It only works on here. It's just a quick example of how you can use crossing rows to make things smooth. So I could have played all those notes up and down the rows, but I've chosen to play it like that to smooth it out. Okay, so those are places for crossing the rows. Another one is when you want to use a note that's not actually in the key that you're playing in. An example of that is in Jockey at the Fair, where it changes onto the D row to pick up the extra sharp. So you can change rows. Oh, lost it. Played on the D row. So you just cross over for that little phrase. And to be honest, those are the only notes you really should cross over for. If you're crossing anywhere else, you're actually either messing up the bass end or you're making your life difficult. Probably both. Okay, so that's a little bit about crossing the rows. Sorry about the mistakes in that. I really must not watch the screen while I'm trying to do this, because I say when I'm playing here, I actually want to play here, and vice versa. Okay, so have fun with that. I hope it helps.